Hi there, I'm Ted, Year 1 Lead of Graphic Design at the University of Central Lancashire here in Preston. I'm just going to quickly go through with you today portfolio guidance, especially for applying to the course of Graphic Design. Now at Graphic Design we get asked a lot of questions all the time, and I'm going to go through them with you today based on the key questions we get asked most often, to be honest. What I'm not going to do in this presentation is show you any leading visuals. I don't want you to think that we're suggesting how your portfolio might be designed or might look. We'd like to leave that entirely to you so that you can reveal some of your character and personality and design traits to us. What we will do is just focus on the questions. So it's just going to be words this presentation, so do bear with us. But it's important that we give you the chance to show off your work as best as you think appropriate and in the most engaging way. So, questions that we get asked often: why do we need a portfolio? How much work should I put in my portfolio? What is a portfolio even? And what size should it be? There's no right or wrongs to many of these questions, so we'll go through them very quickly, give you that good overview. When I started my profession, if you like, so that was over 20 years ago now, when I was being interviewed, and probably my colleagues here were as well, we were talking A0 portfolios stuffed to the gills with paintings and various other things from our foundation courses. Things are different today, and we can present portfolios in many different ways, which we'll go through quite shortly. So what is a portfolio? To be honest, the portfolio, the purpose, I should say, of a design portfolio is very, very simple. It's a collection of your best work, and that best work will showcase your style and skills. It will give us an idea of what you're interested in. It will show us who's influenced you, be it artists, musicians, culture, family, friends, further afield. It shows us how you can tell a story. Can you structure information so that we can understand exactly what's going on? But all these ingredients that go into the portfolio are ultimately there to showcase you, your style, and your skill set as it stands today. So why do I need a portfolio? Quite simply, based on what we've just spoken about, it demonstrates you, but visually. So it's the way you think, it's the way you work, it's the way you do anything, really. There's a phrase, how you do anything is how you do everything. That really comes across in a portfolio. It's shown in your work, it's shown in your sketches, it's shown in your final iterations, it's shown in your attention to detail. Everything visual comes together to tell the story of you in a visual format. What size should it be? Well, right now, this is a great question. As I said before, on foundation, my portfolio was huge. So when I was being interviewed for graphic design courses, I had 2 folders stuffed to the gills, as mentioned. That isn't happening anymore. Right now, we would prefer, or we need to see a digital portfolio. There might be a time in the future when we see folders that are based on A2 or A3 maybe again. And we will be looking at physical folders on the graphic design course as we go forward. But right now, if it's digital, then the best format really is hosting your work online and thinking about where it can actually be. So if you can think about formats from, would you want to present your work within single pages, like this PDF that I'm going through is today, or do you want to show things on a scrolling website or another format? But ultimately the size, as it goes forward for screen, is simply landscape right now, and just make sure that anything that you do have on there doesn't lose any resolution. Sorry. Oh, excuse me, this one's a bit small and a bit big. Okay, so there you go. Forgive me there. But is the presentation important? Absolutely. As I just mentioned previously, how you do anything is how you do everything, and we're really looking for detail. We're looking for how you control crops of images. We're looking for how you notify us of annotations or captions that explain what work might be. Remember, if we're ever looking at your portfolio without you present, how do we know what project is what? How do we know what led to the idea? How do we know what led to the particular process? How do we know what fed into it? So is there labelling that needs to be involved? Are there captions that need to be involved? Is there any storytelling that would help someone looking at your folder or portfolio online really understand what it is? So what's the best way to show work? Really, it's the most appropriate format. If it's photography that you're showing us, then show the photography. If it's video, then show the video. If it's drawings or sketches or anything physical or real, sometimes it depends on the scale of the original project itself. So if we're looking at a large painting, Obviously we'd like to see the painting in full, but then there might be details that you crop into or you take close-ups. So really try and tell the best picture that you can of any given piece of work. So especially with anything that can be scanned in, then do so. Obviously scanners limited in their size, but if you can scan in sketch work that shows process, that's really helpful as well. But ultimately, to define what shows the work in the best way is ultimately the way it was created. So as I say, if it was photos, just shows the photos. If it was video, link us up to the video where it's hosted. If it's images, then the best scans or exports that you can possible. These are a few places where we've seen students presenting work recently. These will be places that you'll probably be aware of, but sites like Blogger, you could build your own WordPress, Weebly, Simple Site, more template-driven sites like Wix or Tumblr. Behance run by Adobe is becoming very popular now. Flickr is a place to host images, or Google sites where you can host your own information on your own Google domain. So there's lots of different options for you available. Or even if you wanted to export a presentation from PowerPoint, or preferably from PDF, Creative Suite, even if you wanted to have a talk over like this, that's fine as well. We've seen lots of different ways of presenting work right now, but as long as we can look at it, that's the key thing for us. And how many projects? This really depends on where you've come from educationally. Some people say 6 projects is a good yardstick, some say less, some say more. But what I always advise students when presenting your portfolio, if you can get it to about 20 minutes, and that means talking through your folder from start to finish, including allowing room for questions, then you're in the right ballpark. So 6 projects, therefore, that's giving you about 3 to 4 minutes per project, which isn't that long if you think that some projects were taking you months of work. So you're really condensing and editing it down to the purest version of the project and how you got to your final solutions. And can I show work in progress? Definitely, but I would always focus on finished, resolved work that you're proud of. Remember that time scale? You got roughly 6 projects in there, roughly 20 minutes presentation time. Do you need to show work in progress right now? If something's not finished yet, but has got you really excited, pop it in to talk about it, but don't let it get in the way of your finished, resolved work that you've worked so hard and you're really, really proud of. And should I show sketchbook work? I think so, yes. These can be crucial as they demonstrate process. I've mentioned that word a couple of other times. It's really interesting to see how people work, how they make connections, what they're interested in, and sketching is still the fastest way to get that down. Sketching is still the way to get a quick idea down. It's still quicker than digital. There are many, many different ways that we can do it now on tablets and phones, but ultimately a pencil and paper to draw or make a quick note is still the quickest and therefore most creative way. We're looking for sharp thinkers who can work quickly and think quickly. Working with a pencil and paper still gets us there, and I'm really interested in sketchbooks and the sketch work that you've done. So finally, that's me, Ted Howell, Year 1 Lead at UCLan here in Preston. If you do want to get in touch, then please do. This is my email address again, thowell@uclan.ac.uk, and I'd be happy to help with any further questions. I hope this quick guide is useful to you, but please remember, just try and really show off your work to the best of your absolute abilities. When you're practicing with friends and family, get that presentation time to about 20 minutes, but ultimately, just show us that visual picture of you, show us that visual picture of how you work, tell us that story about why you love the field that you're going into. So just to summarise, a portfolio is a collection of your best work. It demonstrates you and your way of working in a visual format. Digital is most flexible and accessible right now, so think of Blogger, WordPress, Weebly, Simple Site, Wix, Tumblr, Behance, Flickr, Google Sites, and there's others as well. Present your work as well as you can. Remember, you might not be there to talk through it in person. Show your work in the most appropriate way, do your hard work justice, and show it off. 6 projects is a good backbone structure for a portfolio, and include work in progress if it's great and doesn't detract from your other finished work. Okay, thank you very much.